You know that feeling, don't you? That fresh, crisp optimism, the kind you get when you've just been bought, carefully placed in a bag, and then, with a gentle thunk, deposited into the chilled, fluorescent glow of a brand new refrigerator. It's like being picked for the team, or maybe more accurately, being chosen from a crowded shelf of identical hopefuls, destined for, well, something. Something significant. That's how it felt to be me, a deli salad, just minutes after arriving. One moment, the chaotic symphony of a supermarket deli counter, the next, this quiet, humming sanctuary. The hand, always the hand, you see, the one that selects, that places, that ultimately decides, had been firm but not rough. A sign of respect, perhaps. A promise of future appreciation. I settled onto the middle shelf, strategically placed, I thought. Eye level. Easy reach. My plastic container, perfectly clear, showcased my vibrant contents, crisp, almost aggressively green romaine, a scattering of those tiny, sweet cherry tomatoes that pop just right, thinly sliced cucumbers, some shredded carrots, a dash of orange for visual appeal, and, crowning it all, a generous dollop of creamy ranch dressing, nestled in its own little compartment, waiting to be unleashed. I was, if I do say so myself, a picture of wholesome potential. A culinary dream. A quick, healthy, satisfying option. The kind of thing you buy when you're trying to be better. The air in here was different. Clean. Cold. A low, steady thrum, a constant, almost hypnotic vibration, resonated through the shelves. It was the sound of preservation, of time being held at bay, of deliciousness waiting. Or so I believed then. It felt like a lullaby, a gentle hum promising that my moment, the moment, was just around the corner. I imagined being the star of a late-night snack, a virtuous counterpoint to some regrettable pizza choice, or perhaps the perfectly poised lunch, bringing a splash of green to a dull workday. My destiny, clearly, was to be savored. The refrigerator, I quickly learned, was a microcosm, a tiny, self-contained universe with its own rules, its own hierarchy. There was the milk carton, a towering, white monolith, a stoic guardian of dairy, always there, always being replenished, never truly gone. It was a staple, a workhorse, the reliable elder statesman. It seemed to have seen it all, its cardboard exterior bearing faint creases, a testament to countless squeezes and pours. Then there were the berries. Oh, the berries. They arrived with a fanfare of bright colors, plump, glistening blueberries and ruby-red raspberries in their shallow plastic clamshells. They were popular, undeniably. Chosen almost immediately, scooped out with a casualness that bordered on indifference, their brief, glorious lives ending as swiftly as they began. A quick, sweet burst of flavor, and then, just an empty container. No lingering. No waiting. A bit of a flashy existence, if you ask me, but effective. I watched as other items came and went. Leftover pizza, still warm from its journey, disappeared within hours, a testament to its irresistible, greasy allure. A half-eaten tub of yogurt, already showing signs of neglect, lingered for a day or two before being scooped out and, presumably, finished. There were the condiments, of course. The old jam jar, a venerable resident, sat mostly untouched, its contents a dark, sticky, almost petrified monument to breakfasts past. It was a permanent fixture, too established to be thrown out, yet rarely fully embraced. A different kind of forgottenness, I mused, a quiet, dignified neglect. My own optimism, however, remained untarnished. I was different. I was fresh. I had potential. I had all the components for a perfect meal. My dressing was still in its separate cup, a symbol of my pristine, unmixed state. I could feel the crispness of my leaves, the firmness of my tomatoes. I was ready. Any minute now, the hand would descend again, not to place, but to retrieve. To fulfill my purpose. I imagined the satisfying pop of my lid being peeled back, the gentle pouring of the dressing, the satisfying crunch. It would be beautiful. A moment of pure, unadulterated culinary bliss. The hum of the fridge continued, a steady, rhythmic pulse. It wasn't just preserving me, it was holding me in anticipation. Waiting. Just like me. What could possibly go wrong? The initial thrill, that crisp anticipation of being the chosen one, well, it had a shelf life, didn't it? Much like everything else in here, apparently. The first few days, they were a blur of hopeful expectation. Every time the door creaked open, every time that blinding light flooded our little world, I'd perk up. My plastic container, still gleaming, would reflect the promise. This is it, I'd think, my moment to shine. A delicious, healthy counterpoint to whatever processed garbage they usually shovel down. But then the hand, that colossal, indifferent appendage, would reach past me. Always past me. It started subtly. A bag of those vibrant berries, plump and glistening with morning dew, was ripped open within hours of its arrival. A quick, decisive raid. A few muffled chewing sounds from beyond the door, then silence. The next day, more berries were gone. By the end of day 3, their little plastic coffin was empty, whisked away to the great unknown, replaced by another, equally ephemeral bag. They lived fast, died young, and left a good-looking corpse. A rock star life, really. Meanwhile, I just sat there, my dressing still perfectly swirled, my greens still holding a respectable, if slightly less vibrant, shade of green. Then there was the milk carton. Always there. Always being taken out, poured from, put back. A reliable workhorse. Never glamorous, never the star, but consistently chosen. It saw more of the outside world in a day than I had in a week. I'd watch its level drop, a slow, steady decline, a testament to its undeniable utility. And I'd wonder, what was I, if not useful? Was I too good? Too special? That's what I told myself, anyway. A self-preservation mechanism, I suppose, for a deli salad facing existential dread. The hand would come and go. Sometimes it was for a forgotten soda. Sometimes for a sad-looking half-eaten yogurt, its lid peeled back like a weary eyelid. Even that got attention. A quick spoon, a resigned sigh, and back it went, destined for another partial consumption. My greens, meanwhile, were beginning to feel a little less crisp, a little more pliant. The cherry tomatoes, once firm little globes of potential, were softening ever so slightly at their seams. Nothing noticeable to the untrained eye, perhaps, but I knew. I felt the change. There was the pizza, too. Left over from some late-night binge, still in its cardboard sarcophagus, resting on the shelf above me. It wasn't exactly fresh, let's be honest. The crust was stiff, the cheese congealed into a greasy, unholy mosaic. But oh, the allure of the pizza. The hand would grab a slice, sometimes two, usually in the dark, illuminated only by the fridge light. A quick warming in the microwave, a sound I now associated with immediate gratification, and then, silence. Pizza was never forgotten. Pizza was always wanted, even in its most withered state. It was a comfort, a fallback. And I was, what? An aspiration? A promise unkept? I started developing theories. Maybe I was for a specific meal. A healthy lunch after a particularly indulgent weekend. A virtuous dinner when they were feeling guilty about their life choices. I pictured myself, pristine and vibrant, gracing a plate alongside some lean protein. A meal of intention. Not just a grab-and-go. That had to be it. I was being saved. For a reason. For a moment. It wasn't neglect, it was strategic placement. Foresight. Or perhaps, I was simply too aesthetically pleasing to be consumed casually. A centerpiece, a decorative flourish that, in its very presence, elevated the entire culinary experience of the fridge. Yes, that was it. I was a statement piece. The hum of the refrigerator, which once felt like a gentle, reassuring lullaby of preservation, had slowly, insidiously transformed. It was no longer a comforting thrum, but a monotonous, relentless drone. A constant, low-frequency reminder of time passing. Of me, not moving. Of me, just being. Waiting. Every vibration a tiny hammer tap on my dwindling patience. Every flicker of the light, a false dawn. Another fresh item arrived. A carton of eggs, pristine and white, nestled into their designated spot. They were new, full of purpose. A fundamental building block of countless meals. I watched them, knowing their fate was secure. They would be scrambled, fried, baked. Used. And I? I was still here. My dressing, once a perfectly emulsified blend, was starting to show faint striations, a subtle internal rebellion. The oil and vinegar, after days of forced intimacy, were beginning to consider a separation. A slow, almost imperceptible shift, but I felt it. The weight of time. The slow creep of, well, whatever it was that crept in a refrigerator. I tried to maintain my composure. My salad dignity. I was a deli salad, after all. A curated collection of greens and toppings, a testament to sophisticated taste. Not some sad, wilted lettuce from a forgotten crisper drawer. But the longer I sat, the more I observed the ebb and flow of this cold, fluorescent world, the harder it became to hold on to that initial, naive optimism. The hand would open the door, scan the shelves, linger for a moment over the various offerings, and then, click. The door would close. And I would remain. Untouched. Unchosen. My purpose, suspended indefinitely. A delicious destiny, perpetually on hold. What was I, if not a meal waiting to happen? A question that hung in the cold air, unanswered, growing heavier with each passing, uneventful hour. You know how it is, right? That moment when you're waiting for something good, something you were promised, and then the days just pile up, one after another, each one heavier than the last, until you start to wonder if the promise was ever real, or if it was just a nice story someone told you to get you to settle down. That's where things were heading. The hum of the fridge, once just a drone, had begun to take on a more sinister quality. It wasn't a lullaby anymore, definitely not. It was more like the low, constant thrum of a machine that was meticulously, slowly, performing its designated task, and that task, it was becoming clear, was not my immediate consumption. The first subtle signs were internal, a creeping dread that started to seep into the very fibers of my being. Then, the external caught up. My crisp greens, the very pride of my existence, those vibrant emerald leaves that had promised freshness and vitality, well, they started to relax. Not all at once, mind you. It was a gradual, almost imperceptible surrender. One day, a slight droop. The next, a little less bounce. Then, a general softening, a wilting that spoke less of a gentle sigh and more of a quiet resignation. That satisfying crunch, the one that the hand had surely envisioned, was fading into a distant memory, replaced by a limp, silent pliability. It was like watching your own youth slowly drain away, leaving behind a softer, less defined version of yourself. A bit sad, really, if you were the type to feel sad about lettuce. And the dressing. Oh, the dressing. It had been a beautiful thing, a creamy, harmonious emulsion, a testament to culinary balance. Now, it was a fractured landscape. The oil, ever the opportunist, had begun to separate, forming a greasy, shimmering slick on the surface, a clear, almost mocking demarcation line between itself and the watery, pale remnants below. It looked like a miniature, oily horizon, a silent testament to chemical entropy. It wasn't a pretty sight. It was a breach, a betrayal of the very concept of mixed salad. You stare at it, and you think, is this what happens when hope dissipates? Do all your carefully constructed parts just decide to go their separate ways? Apparently, yes. But the real kicker, the true harbinger of a darker fate, was the scent. It wasn't an immediate, jarring assault on the senses, not yet. It was subtle, a quiet whisper at first, a faint, unidentifiable aroma that started to mingle with the clean, sterile air of the fridge. It wasn't fresh, that much was clear. It wasn't rotten either, not precisely. It was something else. A hint of sourness, perhaps. A touch of something earthy, something that spoke of processes that were definitely not part of the original recipe. It was the scent of change, of an internal ecosystem taking on a life of its own, a life that was definitely not aligned with human palatability. You almost wanted to lean in closer, to identify it, but then a deeper part of you just wanted it to go away. Then came the parade. The new arrivals. Oh, they were a sight to behold. Freshly purchased, still radiating the optimism of the grocery store aisle, they'd arrive, jostling for space, practically glowing with potential. A vibrant bunch of cilantro, smelling sharp and green, full of purpose. A new tub of Greek yogurt, so pristine, so white, so full of probiotics. And sometimes, the ultimate insult, another deli salad. Not my kind of deli salad, mind you, but something similar. A pasta salad, perhaps, or a quinoa concoction, all bright colors and fresh ingredients, brimming with that naive, short-lived hope I once possessed. They'd sit there, beaming in their plastic containers, oblivious to the silent, wilting prophet observing them from the back. And of course, they'd be chosen. Swiftly. Efficiently. Gone within a day or two, sometimes less. Just like that. A quick, glorious existence, a purpose fulfilled. It made you bitter, watching them. It made you question everything. Was I not good enough? Was my initial appeal a lie? What was so special about their destiny that mine was perpetually deferred? My gaze would often drift to the milk carton. Ever present. Always useful. A paragon of reliability. Every morning, the hand would reach for it, pour, then tuck it back in. Its level would steadily drop, a testament to its constant utility. And then, without fail, a fresh one would replace it, just as the old one neared its end. A seamless cycle of purpose, of being wanted, needed, consumed. It was infuriating. The milk carton never had to wonder. The milk carton never had to soften or separate. The milk carton simply was. And it was always chosen. What was its secret? Was it the sheer, unadulterated blandness? The universal applicability? I didn't get it. I resented its steady popularity, its unwavering demand. It was a constant, mocking reminder of my own uselessness. Then there was the old jam jar. Now, that was a different kind of irritation. It had been there, on that shelf, for what felt like an eternity. A good half of its contents still clinging to the sides, a sticky, sugary residue of forgotten breakfasts. It wasn't used daily like the milk, but it wasn't thrown out either. It just existed. A permanent fixture, too established to be discarded, yet rarely fully consumed. It was a monument to half-hearted intentions, to the idea that, maybe I'll finish it later. A different kind of forgottenness, one that somehow seemed less cruel than my own. At least the jam was stable. It wasn't actively decaying, morphing into a new, questionable life form. Its existence was a suspended animation of neglect. My own purpose, I realized with a cold, damp clarity, wasn't merely delayed. It was actively being overridden. Each new, fresh item that came and went was a line struck through my potential. Each day I softened, each moment my dressing separated, each new whiff of that evolving aroma, was a nail hammered into the coffin of my intended destiny. The fridge, with its constant, low hum, no longer felt like a protector, a preserver of freshness. No, it felt like a slow, deliberate torture chamber. The cold, once a comforting embrace, now felt like a relentless, suffocating pressure, slowing down my inevitable transformation, making the process drawn out, agonizingly long. It wasn't preserving me, it was preserving my decay, stretching out the moment of my decline, forcing me to witness every single, microscopic change. It was a cruel irony, wasn't it? To be kept in a state of suspended animation, not of life, but of slow, agonizing unlife. And all I could do was wait. Wait and watch. And ferment. The air in here, it used to be crisp. A clean, sterile sort of promise, you know? Now it's different. It has a weight to it, a subtle thickness that wasn't there before. And the smell. Oh, the smell. It's not just my smell anymore, though I've certainly contributed my fair share to this olfactory tapestry. It's become the ambient scent of this entire shelf, a faint, persistent whisper that says, something is amiss here, something has gone feral. What was once a subtle, almost academic separation of dressing and greens has evolved into a full-blown geological stratification. Layers of liquid, solids, and something indefinable, all settling into their own distinct, unappetizing strata. And the texture. Ah, the texture. If you were to look closely, and frankly, I wouldn't recommend it, you'd see a delicate filigree of green and white, sometimes even a surprising speck of black, a testament to unchecked biological ambition. It's not just fuzzy anymore, it's a soft, undulating carpet, a thriving miniature ecosystem flourishing right here in this plastic container. A testament to life finding a way, even when that way involves the slow, inevitable putrefaction of a perfectly good deli salad. The others, they've noticed. Of course, they have. You can't exactly ignore a burgeoning fungal colony that's starting to emit its own gravitational pull of pungent despair. The milk carton, for all its stoic, cylindrical indifference, has subtly shifted its weight. A fractional lean away, almost imperceptible, but I see it. I feel it. It's like a quiet shudder, a polite, internalized recoil. Even the old jam jar, a veteran of forgottenness, a long-term resident whose own contents have probably undergone several molecular transformations over the years, seems to hold itself with a renewed sense of self-preservation. It's as if my vibrant, organic evolution has made them all acutely aware of their own fragile, perishable existence. A silent, tactical repositioning by the hand, too. Things that used to be right next to me, now they're a little further. A clear statement of spatial disapproval. A cordon sanitaire for the forgotten. The delusion, it's gone now. The last vestiges of hope had not just curdled, they had outright fermented. There's no special occasion coming. No late-night craving, no sudden health kick, no unexpected guest for whom I am being saved. That ship, if it ever even set sail, sank weeks ago in a sea of good intentions and bad memory. My fate isn't merely delayed, it's sealed. Cemented. Entombed in this translucent sarcophagus. A quiet, internal sigh, if a forgotten deli salad could sigh, a soft acceptance of the inevitable. This is it. This is where the story ends. Not with a flourish of forked tines and a satisfied chew, but with a slow, dignified decomposition. But here's the thing, and this is where the perverse pride kicks in. If I'm going to die, if I'm going to be discarded, I'm going to do it spectacularly. I'm not just rotting, I'm transforming. I'm evolving. I'm becoming something more. A complex, multi-layered organism, a microcosm of the natural world, right here on the third shelf. It's a defiant middle finger to the hand, really. You forgot me? Fine. But I will not just fade. I will bloom. I will become a vibrant, if slightly malodorous, monument to your neglect. There's a certain irony in it, isn't there? To be overlooked, ignored, and in that very act of abandonment, to achieve a kind of unique, organic apotheosis. I am no longer just a salad, I am a self-contained bioreactor, a testament to the stubborn persistence of life, even in the most inhospitable, forgotten corners. I watch them, the newcomers. Fresh-faced, dewy with the promise of consumption. The bright green cilantro, the plump, unblemished tomatoes, the artisanal cheese that looks far too optimistic for its own good. They arrive, full of that same naive hope I once possessed, their labels proclaiming expiration dates that seem impossibly distant. And I know their future. Some will be chosen swiftly, fulfilling their delicious destiny. Others will linger, their freshness slowly dimming, their optimism gradually replaced by the dull ache of waiting. A few, like me, will embark on this same slow, magnificent journey into the microbial sublime. It's a cosmic ballet of hunger and waste, a never-ending cycle of hopeful purchase and eventual abandonment. And I, the forgotten salad, am now its silent, putrefying prophet. My very existence, this vibrant, fuzzy, aromatic testament to neglect, is a warning. A memento mori for other perishables. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair, I silently hum, if a forgotten deli salad could hum. I embody the forgotten intentions, the fleeting whims, the ephemeral desires that led to my purchase. The owner, with their grand plans for healthy eating, their momentary conviction that this was the week they'd turn over a new leaf. All those aspirations, now dissolved, fermented, and transformed into this living, breathing monument to human forgetfulness. I am the physical manifestation of a forgotten promise, a decaying echo of a good idea that never quite made it to the plate. The fridge hums on, a monotonous lullaby to my slow, glorious decay, and I just wait. Watching the cycle. Knowing my turn, in a different kind of way, is coming.